All right, here we go. Second episode of Coffee with Coach Patrick. I've got James Dergousoff here for a one-on-one.
Hey,
James, how we doing today?
not so bad. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to get a chance to grab a coffee with you. It's a little bit weird talking over the internet a bunch of times or talking over Skype, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely weird comparatively to just seeing your face every day. This is
Yeah,
so much different.
it is so crazy because we literally have spent almost every single day together for 10 years. That's so
Yeah,
bizarre.
yeah, minus maybe like 15 days here and there. It's been nonstop. This is the longest we've been apart from each other for a significant amount of time, rather than a
Yeah,
period of time that we've ever been apart from each other. It's weird.
it's crazy. It is really crazy to think. So here we are. We're doing like my second coffee phone call with somebody, and you were on the first one with the group chat. So got a bit of an idea of what to expect. A little bit different one-on-one, but yeah, man, I'm just gonna ask you some questions. We're gonna grab a chat. Want to get people to hear a bit of your story and what you're going through. So I guess the first things first, like, how are you doing? How's your family doing? How's your health? Like, give us an update where you are, what you're doing. How's
Uh,
everybody?
My my family's doing pretty good right now. My mom is determined to stay in Vancouver. Um, she is finding that it's easier for her to work there, and she's just trying to stay sane, really.
Hmm.
My dad is in Arizona, and he's down there working right now, and hopefully we'll get to stay down there. He works for an essential business, so that works. And for me, I'm doing okay. I actually felt an earthquake yesterday. Uh,
Oh wow,
yeah, I thought it
jeez.
was the wind, but the house was shaking. I was like, oh, how is there an earthquake in the interior? But yeah, there sure was an earthquake. But rather than that, life's good. It's sunny right now, so life's good.
You know what's crazy, man? You mentioned earthquake. We had this all of a sudden yesterday. It started hailing,
Yeah,
like
right?
absolute
Yeah.
crazy. And it's like, I said, Leanne, is it hailing outside? With the chunks of ice coming down, and it was sunny out. That was the crazy
Yeah.
part. Like, it was the sun was shining, and there was this hailstorm coming down. It was crazy, man. It's just,
God.
you know, because the world isn't weird enough right now that we've got random earthquakes and hail. Like, yeah, all right.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you ask me, I think Mother Nature's a little ticked off with everybody right now, and she's starting to let us, it's like a mom saying, shaking her finger at you or something.
Good luck
Um,
in
so
April.
yeah, so that's good. I'm glad your family's doing well. And how you doing with the isolation, man? Just kind of staying. Like, are you there alone? Do you have any family members with you,
I
or?
I have my sister and her boyfriend Cam, um, and we're just keeping sane. I'm doing a poor job of isolating. I like to go outside and explore around a little bit every day, and I do it alone, but and nowhere near any people. But I can't stay inside.
Oh, dude, that's like us. We take Parker out for a walk and we avoid all people and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
you got to get outside. You got to get your mental health, and it's so important to do that, right?
it's just staying inside for 2 weeks straight so bad for you.
Well, it really is, and that's kind of the nature of this, right? They calling and talking and having a conversation just to see how people are doing, because otherwise we don't see anybody and we stay at home. Like,
Right.
for me, it's great. I'm getting to hang out with my daughter, a ton of time
Yeah.
that I wouldn't really have, time with my wife, time with my dog, but like you start to miss the people that you see every day as well, right? And just the little things you take for granted, right?
100%. Like, just even going to go grab a coffee is different,
Yeah.
and like our whole entire way of modern life is just kind of come to a grinding halt. It's pretty different.
So outside of swimming and training, and obviously spending time with me is the biggest thing you miss. I know that, right? Like what is it? What's something you miss about just like normal day? Something you would never really have thought of, but that you take for granted, but now you miss it, right? It's just
It
not there anymore.
it's weird, but I definitely miss the North Shore Mountains. I'm not a Vancouver person. I'm not a city person, but the North Shore Mountains are just beautiful in April and March. It's kind of crappy to miss them because it's nice when there's snow on them, but that's about it. How about
Yeah,
you?
we.
What do you miss?
Uh, um, Honestly, man, this is like ridiculous. I miss being on a pool deck. I think I mentioned this in my message to our club, but like this is the longest stretch I've gone in my adult life without being on a pool deck,
Exactly.
and I'm getting twitchy with it, right? Like I miss it. I miss it so much. But other than that, what do I really miss,
Are you
dude?
wearing shorts?
I'm not
Like
wearing shorts.
day to day? No.
No, that's the thing is I've worn more pants in the last 2.5 weeks than I've worn in years because all I ever wear is shorts. It feels like, and now I'm at home and I'm wearing pants, but I go outside, I'm wearing shorts. So bizarre, man. Coaches, we're weird characters, that's for sure. Um, yeah, it's just so bizarre. But what do I actually like? You know what I miss, to be honest, because I went on this I miss working out.
Really? That's
Yeah,
good.
like I miss working out. I miss the kind of routine that we were on, and with the
Yeah.
gym and the like I miss training
Well,
personally. Like
how many
I
days
started.
straight were you?
How did I get to? I think I got to and well, until they got shut down, I think it was about 75 or 80 days, like
I
just
just
straight
get
going,
used
right?
to it. Yeah.
And you try to do stuff at home, but it's not the same. Like I
Yeah.
missed the routine and the pattern that we were on. Um,
Because you're
but yeah,
getting strong there too.
yeah, old man strong, I guess. Yeah, I'm not bad for a middle age. Here's the thing: I accomplished my goal that I don't get completely sore for 3 days from picking up my child too much. So that was the success. I need to be able to do that, and I can get up and down off the floor and play with her. So you know what? I'm doing all right that way.
Small victories.
Small victories. So, all right, man. I want to go into this now. I want to talk a little bit about you as a swimmer.
Let's do it.
All right. So if I think about it, I actually was thinking a lot before we chatted. It's like, so we met each other almost 10 years ago. You're a
Yeah.
13-year-old little punk.
Yeah.
um, right. And I remember saying to Leanne, like the first 2 months, I was like, oh, this guy's not liking me. This guy's not gonna like, he'll be gone by November. There's no way this kid sticks around. He really doesn't like me. Because I was kind of hard at you at first, right? I was
Yeah.
hard at you quite a bit. But then I started thinking, right? Like we kind of went through this journey for 10 years. And I was thinking back, like you did your first Team Canada event in 2009, right? With North American
Yes.
Challenge Cup when you were 12.
Yep.
And then at 2012, we went to our first Olympic trials and you were 15. And then 2016, you went to Olympic trials second time. And then we were getting ready for a third trials. And just thinking going from 13 to 23 in the time that I've known you, the time we spent together. And I was just wondering, like, tell me a little bit about your swimming journey. Like, I know you started off in a small club, summer swimming, and kind of came to Vancouver, but like, I just share your story a bit, right? Like,
Um. I want to say I have amazing parents. First of all, because without them, I don't think I would have ever been able to be successful in what I do.
mhm.
Um. And so it started out summer swim. My very first race was a 25 backstroke, and it was 5 and under, and I broke the record, I guess, for 5 and under, and they immediately moved me up to Div 1. And after that, uh, went to our first summer swim provincials, and we got second in our 4x50 relay for medley, but we messed up the order of fly and breast. So we got DQ'd, and I was devastated. But that was my first experience at provincials. That was really, really fun. And moving forward into Div 2, out of 54 possible chances, I broke 52 records. And that's just kind of where success started coming. And then moving to Vancouver, holy cow, making Team Canada first year, and winning a medal at any ACCs, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then we went the next year to Montreal for age groups. And what did we get? 6 gold medals out of 8. It was
Yeah. Yeah. I
something
remember
incredible.
you got 6 out of 8 gold medals at juniors, and all I kept harping on was the two you didn't get. I
Yeah.
think I gave you a hard time about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our first season together, right?
That was a really good starting point for us. A lot of confidence came from that. And after that, just we kept moving forward at a really strong pace until about 2013, when I made my first junior team.
Mhm.
And what a great experience that was. We broke the national record, and I made the junior team that day. That was just a phenomenal day for me.
That was wild, man. Like I think back to that day. So that was 2013. We were in Montreal,
Yeah.
right? And you had to stick around, and you couldn't do junior nationals because you had Canada Games, and that was when the
Yep.
Canada Games team wasn't doing it. And I remember that night you swam the 200 breast, and
Yeah.
you made the junior team for Junior Worlds at 16, and then you guys broke the Canadian age group record in the medley relay, and that was Nico's first nationals as a relay only swimmer.
Yeah. And man, oh man, that was such a special moment. Because Nico, holy crap, we just brought him to take the relay spot, and he really pulled through. We thought we could do it. We did it, and it felt good.
It did, and it launched his career because the next year I think it was we were at the Bergen
Yep.
meet where he broke through in 149, and like, it kind of gave him that confidence, right?
Well, he almost made Junior Worlds off his relay split, dude.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Because I remember we did the 4x2 earlier in the meet, and he led
Yeah.
out, and he almost got the Junior Worlds cut for Columbia, and it was like, yeah, it kind of blew him away a bit, right?
And
Yeah.
it just kind of propelled him into like the great swimmer that he was, and it's just even is once he gets his comeback finished, and and after that, I remember sitting with James Guest at Junior Worlds watching the 200 breast, and we watched this skinny dude go 210, I think it was, and we were just both in shock, like, okay, that's where we should be. And after that, you and I, ended up being national champs 2 years later, and we got to a pretty dominant spot for Canada. And uh, unfortunately, that wasn't enough for us. We kept pushing really hard, and I think because we pushed so hard there, we're starting to see the success coming now. There were some bad times between 2015 and now, but the bad times only make the good times better.
Well, let me ask you this, right? So 2012, you went to trials, and I think the way we all felt, I know I definitely felt that way as a coach. And somebody asked me, "Is like, well, how do you feel about your trials?" I said, "Well, I feel like we're 4 years early for the prom, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
literally. Yeah.
yeah, because everybody swam so well, but we were just prelim swims. I think the best we got was maybe 22nd or something like that. But everyone was all best times, and it was a really good
Yeah.
group. But it was a young group.
Yeah.
Um, and then you fast forward to 2016. Well, actually, I should say, let's go through the process, right? So you came off trials, you made Junior Worlds, you had a great success, Canada Games, the whole thing. The next year is Junior Pan Packs. You broke the age group national record in the 100 breaststroke twice. And the funny
Yeah.
part was we didn't even realize you broke it until
Yeah.
somebody told us, because we weren't really trying to do it. It just kind of happened because you did a good job with your training, could slip the 100 really well.
Yeah.
Um, went to Junior Pan Packs. Now, and to be completely honest, did not have the best training between trials in 2014 and Junior Pan Packs in 2014.
Like
Um,
any other grade 12 boy, I was just doing my thing.
Dude, yeah. And I still remember sitting you and Tim down and saying, all right, guys, like this is the point of no return. If you guys lock it down now, I can get you to your best times by the meet. But if you don't lock it down, I'm calling and I'm telling some Canada, you guys should be kicked off the team because you guys were
Yeah.
not being bad. You guys were just being
We weren't,
teenagers.
yeah, we weren't putting in 100%. Going in and representing Canada, you got to be giving it your all. Like,
Yeah, you can't mess around with it, right? And sure enough, you went and at the meet, you kind of slightly broke your record in the 100. You were just off your best time at 200, and it was pretty accurate,
yeah,
to where we thought you'd be based off of that. And then we really dug our heels in that I wasn't going to change your training program because you didn't give me the right run of it,
yeah,
going into Junior Pan Packs. So that's the interesting part. So this is kind of where things in your career really evolved because you did the junior stuff and you're always on teams. And I mean, we always talk about, I think it was 2000 and it was the summer of Junior National of 2012 whenever you and James Guest went head to head quite a bit, right,
yep,
in Calgary.
yep, yep.
And for you, I think he was really, really important for your career because it's like a guy who came
Agreed.
up and he beat you in the 50, he beat you in the 100. And I remember after you won the 200 and you out-touched him, you said, like, I've never had to work that hard to win before. And I said, well, you owe him a thank you because he taught you
Yeah,
something that you might not have learned, right? I think you guys brought the best out in each other.
and
And it,
I loved having him there. He was the reason for a lot of the success that we had. Like both him and I, man, at 15, or maybe he was 16 by then, but he was flying. He was almost top in the country. And
yeah.
without having him, I don't know what would have happened.
I've always believed that you guys made each other better and pushed your level all the way up, which is what we've talked about. Kind of like what we want right now with you and Eli, right? Like you guys
Yeah.
pushing it to the point. Let's like go, both you guys pushing it to sub 210 and let's get serious with this, right? Let's get some
Yeah.
depth with it all. So that was always really good. I know that was a defining moment. And then I think when we fast forward and we really locked it in that 2014-15 season with with senior Pan Ams, it was going to be at home games, and you went to trials, and we really had a plan. Like I know we really focused for about a year and a half on back end speed in the last 50, and I remember telling somebody, it's like if he does it well at 150, the last 50 is going to be pretty special.
Yeah.
And you went in, and that was kind of the race where you catapulted a little bit. Everyone knew you as a junior, but you catapulted a bit by winning the 200 breaststroke, and kind of getting that spotlight on you a little bit. And it was a great final 50 in the whole thing. And that was probably pretty exciting at the time to have that success. You went right from junior teams onto a senior team, which for male athletes that doesn't
It
really
doesn't
usually
happen.
happen,
Yeah.
right? Do you feel that that was almost a negative that it happened right away? And it wasn't a
Um,
little bit harder, or how do you feel about all that?
it wasn't the right. I needed the experience going into the Olympic Games, but it wasn't the right move for my career. Um, the best part of it was just being beside Richard and having that experience with him, because I've always thought that he's just been the guy for Canada. Watching him in 2012 race Scott was mind blowing that someone could even be that compact and strong and comparatively to what Scott was. So I loved watching Richard, and the fact that I could do it next to him was just, oh, I'm never going to forget that. Oh, God. Um, but besides the point, I think a lot of negative came from it, because you would look at me, a 150-pound bag of skin, and then you look at the Brazilian dude who's 200 pounds and could rip my literal head off, and it's like, what am I gonna do? So there's good and bad. It showed that, okay, I'm good enough to be here. What can I do once I'm here? And I think moving forward, we kind of tamed that curve down a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, and if you look, it went forward to the next year, and it was the Olympic year. And going into the Olympic year, I mean, you started off that trials brilliantly, right? The 100
Yeah,
breaststroke on the first day, you came back and you tied for the bronze medal, won a best time, 1:05. Everything was going really well. But then when you fast forward to the 200 breaststroke day, and you had a great prelim, you were going in first, everything was great. But being 19 and going in first, and like, how did you feel? Like, honestly, like, I know people don't really talk about it much, but like, that's a lot of, I know there's
yeah,
nerves. I know, I still remember you behind the blocks, they announced your name and that big screen at the end of the pool at the Pan Am pool in Toronto. And it was just a massive version of your face that you were looking at
yeah.
yourself. And I
And
saw this little kind of smile,
looking
right?
down at that, like, oh my gosh, you can even imagine it. Oh my, looking down the pool deck and seeing that, and it was very intimidating. I don't think you're ever really ready to do that until you're in it.
Mhm.
Because when you're spanking people up at provincials or something, it just feels good and you're in a routine. But once it's all said and done, and you're right there at Olympic trials, and it's like, okay, it's go time. You definitely need some practice. And I don't think I'm the only one that would say, like, okay, that's an overwhelming moment. Um, some people might even get to that moment and not even notice it. Um, just someone being younger, but I knew the significance of that moment. And yeah, it did take its toll. I went out too slow on the first 100 and just couldn't bring it home. Uh, was I devastated? Yes, but man, oh man, we bounced back after Olympic trials, and our goal as a team was to win nationals, the men's banner, and I don't think I ever worked as hard as I did that season until maybe recently, um, because I wanted that so bad, and I laid it out on the line, and I really gave it all for me and my teammates, the best chance to win. And oh my God, we were so close to winning.
Yeah, that was so close, dude. I remember, I think I counted up, you raced 17 races in 4 days
Yeah,
at that nationals. And I don't remember how many medals you won, but like it was like winning the B final for the 200 free and
yeah,
swimming the 100 fly. And it was just every event under the sun. And you just kind of got up and go. And you were crazy fit at the time.
yeah.
Yeah, we came pretty darn close. I think we got beat by UBC by 10 points, right? On that.
Yeah, and
But that was,
I, I think just the core seven of us will always remember that, including you and Mark, obviously. But that group of guys, uh, we had so much fun doing that, and everyone put their body out there, and we should have beat
yeah.
them.
Well, it's funny, you know what? For the most part, a lot of you guys came up together and grew up swimming together. And I think that was the significance of it. It was a lot of a homegrown team with a couple of guys who joined us. But for I think the core 6 or 7 had been together since you guys were kids, right?
And Keenan being an addition to coming on, we've known Keenan for 7 years at that point,
Well, and
so
I
he was
coached
just
Keenan.
one of us.
Yeah, and I coached Keenan my last 2 years in Ontario before moving out here.
Yeah, yeah,
So like he was already I'd known him longer than I've known you.
yeah,
Right? So
exactly.
it was an interesting group from that perspective. It was definitely a lot of fun. But then coming out of that, man, it got tough, right? If
Yeah,
I'm being honest, like we came out of that year and you kind of stayed on it despite the disappointment of missing the team and you got through the summer. But 16-17 season, I would say the 2017 trials in Victoria, where I think Tim was a bit of a legend that weekend.
yes,
He was pretty
100%.
dominant, but that was probably, I would say that probably the point where you and I were at our roughest in our relationship, right?
Yeah. And being, how old was I? Was I 18, 19? I was 19,
At
20.
that time, you would know you just turned 20. That was the year you
So
were 20.
I I took a serious hit personally from it because I grew up my entire life hearing, "Oh, you're an Olympic swimmer, like Olympic swimmer, blah 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 blah. This is so you." And I had such a identity behind swimming that um, once I lost that identity, I didn't know who I was, and uh, I remember throwing a water bottle at a wall one time. Like I was just an angry person because I didn't have anything that made me me. And I think the final draw, I gotta say it. I respect Gabe. I think he's an amazing swimmer. Uh, what a what a driven person. But when he beat me in 50 breaststroke, it doesn't even matter now. But in the time, it was like, okay, the younger guy finally beat me. I'm off my throne, and I finally couldn't take it anymore. I lost my identity as a winner. So moving forward, 1 or 2 more months, um, that was a hard time. We needed to take a 2 week break and came back and made a good finish into the rest of the season. And we regrouped and kept going. And then by the end there, it just had to fall apart.
Well, that was the
Uh,
thing. I think that was hard for you. I think you started to, um, you were angry, you were
yeah,
frustrated. But I think that at the time it was being a young guy and being like what had gone on and how things had changed. You didn't really know how to process the feelings you were feeling. So a lot of it came out as like as anger and
anger.
frustration,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I know we had a pretty good one at the pool in Victoria, and it started off as a pretty
yeah.
like you're giving it to me pretty good,
And it
if
was
I
just
remember
because
correctly.
I didn't care about whatever race it was. It was just, oh well. And
Yeah.
it's a shame because man, that 200 breast was pretty sweet in prelims, and then I just gave up mentally. I didn't want to do it, and then it's a shame that I was that immature. To be
Mhm.
honest, a lot of it comes down to who I was as a person, and I love the person I am now.
Do you think that you had to go through that? Like I think about that time and then we progressed into 17, 18, we got to Montreal Nationals and you changed your diet and you were just like you were like 20 pounds lighter than you are now. You weren't healthy, you weren't strong. You let's call it what it was, man. You swam like shit
Yeah,
at Montreal and you just couldn't go, right? Like
yeah. And I didn't know what it was, but there was just so much mental stuff going on. I was transitioning from a boy into a young person in their 20s because I still hung out with stupid kids and I did stupid things and I never took my life seriously until after I missed the Olympic team. And then I just got so angry and upset with who I was because I thought I made the right changes, but I didn't. And I think that's just not being able to see my, like, what is it? See the forest through the trees? Like,
yeah.
and just a full mental breakdown happened. And it was time to regroup.
Yeah, so that got us to the point. So we finished Nationals in Montreal in 2018 in April. We came back, you had a talk and said, I need to shut it down.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, right? So that I think that was a pivotal moment in your career where you had to shut it down. You had to say, I just need to walk away from it all and take a break. And I remember when you were going through it, you kind of started setting like, I'm going to be back on this date no matter what I
Yeah.
missed. And I remember saying like, whoa, full stop, right? I said, I think you need this break. I think you need to get away from it. I think you need the mental health. But the one thing I was really emphatic with you was that no return date. Like you need to walk away right now being okay that you might never come back. Now, in your heart, you always felt like you were coming back, and that's okay. But we needed to not set a timeline,
Yeah.
right? And that was important. Um, the fairness of being transparent and honest. I probably had maybe a 2% thought that you would be coming back. I thought you were done. I was sad about it. Leanne can tell you, like it was pretty rough because I didn't think that was the way to end it. But at the same time,
Yeah.
I knew you couldn't keep going, right?
Yeah.
And you had just watched Tim go through a break earlier that year, right? Because Tim kind of came back somewhat around the time where you took your break. He needed 6 months to just regroup mentally and work on his confidence. So this is a common thing for
Yeah.
athletes.
Yeah.
So
All
so
athletes and becoming a man in sports, going from a boy to man, is just, it's so hard and it's difficult for everyone in a sense, but just uh Yeah, you need that break.
So in that break, so what did you do in that time? Like I know what you did, but like share with us. Like share like what did you do to kind of go and, for lack of a better term, find yourself?
Yeah. So the day that I came in, we talked about, okay, well, I need a plan. So my plan was either come and work for a provincial park company in Christina Lake, or go into a provincial park company in around Barkerville and Wells, just outside of Jasper, actually, on going west. Um, so we ended up choosing Bower and Lake. It's right near Jasper, and I was for better term park ranger, and it was the best 4 months of my life, and I can't wait to go back. I learned patience and how small I am and how much I have to know with everything outside of swimming. And yes, I know swimming really well, but swimming's not important when you're coming up to a grizzly bear.
No, I would
So
imagine it doesn't help you then. No.
yeah, so like I just really got self-confidence because I learned how to fix a boat motor when we're stranded in the middle of nowhere. And it was just small things where, okay, I'm getting control of my life again. And I didn't take a break from the pool the entire time. But I made a promise to myself that I'm I'm gonna give this one more go. The World Cup of Soccer was on, and I was looking at, okay, well, what are the specific ages that these people are playing in? And they roughly all came out to be like 26 years old in high competitive sports. And it was like, man, I was 21. I still got 2 more years till I'm in the best shape of my life. And that fell right into when Tokyo was supposed to be now. So I'm in the prime of my life, and it was a shame to let it go. And I just couldn't let myself do it.
Okay. I like that. Well, and I know that you came back a different person. And the thing
Yeah.
that I loved about this was um, you, you left and swimming was your identity. And you came back, in my opinion, was swimming was no longer your identity, but it was something you loved. And I think
Yeah.
that passion, that love to do it was there where it was there in 13, 14, 15, all that ride. That passion was there. And then it wasn't there between 16 and 18.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
came back in the fall of 2018 and it was there. Like I felt like there was this massive weight off your shoulders and you seemed different. Like you had a different appreciation for being at the pool.
I knew what
Is
it
is
took
that
to win again. And you need to be confident. It
Mhm.
if you're gonna do something, you gotta do it properly. And I got my confidence back. And there's nothing better than looking in the mirror and being able to smile at who you are. And I think that was really the turning point.
Do you feel like you got to a point in your career where you went from loving to race to win to being afraid to lose?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
then
then you
because
get to a
that's
point that you hate losing more than you like winning.
yeah. Because I feel like you came back and you had that passion to race. Like,
Yeah.
if I can share something you've been saying a lot to me over the course of the last this season in particular, is I just can't wait to get my ability to just swim my race the way I've trained to do it. And it's not about racing other people. It's not about, I just want to put my swim up, put up my fast time, and show that my work has paid off. And I want to have that ability to get up and show what I've been doing and all this
Yeah.
work that I've been doing. And I love that approach that you had.
Well, the amount of time we put into our craft and just trying to be perfect, you can never be perfect, but as close as we can be. And oh man, the perfection and precision that we were trying to provide for everyone to view this art form is just, we put in so much time. And oh, what a good year.
It really was. Like I want to kind of go back to that comeback year, right? So you started in the fall of 2018, and I know that I was with you, and I was very much forcing patience, right? You're gonna have
Yes.
to get back into shape. It's gonna take some time. But I wasn't a great coach in that time frame in the sense that I was very cautious with what I was saying to you in our conversations because I wasn't really sure. I saw the difference in you, but is it going to be the guy who was getting mad at me in 2017, 2018,
Yep.
or is it going to be the guy who was really receptive before that? And to your credit, you kind of kept plugging along. And I think the turning point really of your comeback was in Tennessee in 2019, right? If you
Yep.
remember,
Our conversation.
yeah, because you were talking about your goals and expectations for the meet, and you asked me a question about is your times that you want, are the times you want to go in Tennessee, were they unrealistic?
Yeah.
I think was what you asked me, or were they realistic? And I said, are you ready to, can I be honest? Can you be receptive? And that was the real turning point where we got our relationship, as far as a coach swimmer relationship, we got that working relationship back right on the tracks and
Yeah.
going full steam ahead. Because I was able to be really honest with you. I was able to paint out when you were going to get fast, when you were going to go times, how it was going to work out. And I was even able to tell you that, hey, by the time we get to trials in April or end of March, beginning of April, you're still not going to be full peak fitness, but you'll be
Yeah.
fast enough to go a best time, right? So that takes us to the trials last year in 2019, where I think you were back for 6.5, 7 months after a 5.5 month layoff, and not even being fit or healthy when you did take the break, right? So it really had been a long time since you'd been at peak fitness, and you got up and you had a great swim in the morning and, solid, conservative, cautious swim at night, if I'm being honest, but still a very solid swim, and you got the win. So there's two questions I want to ask you, man. Like, one is, can you give us the comparison of winning in 2015 and winning in 2019 and the two significances of those races? Because one, we were 19, up and coming, and didn't think you'd ever lose kind of attitude, right? Because you'd always been successful. And one was 22 years old, or sorry, you're 18 and then 22 whenever you're like coming back to see where you're going to be. And I'm just up into that point, the comeback, I think there was hope, but uncertainty on your part.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah.
So,
And
so what's the difference of those two races and those two moments 4 years apart?
I think the two people that I've shared those moments with play a big part in it. Um, with Rich, it was just the moment that I knew that I was actually good at this, and that was just empowering on its own. And oh man, but whenever it came to with Eli, um, I think it was just I'm not gonna lose. I swam that like an absolute ass, but I wasn't gonna lose, and it wasn't so much as I want to win. I'm gonna, because I remember talking to you on the plane going down to Florida in 2015. Like, I want to win, I want to beat him, but I think it came more to, okay, I'm not gonna lose. And I remember talking to you in Florida in 2019 of, well, am I fit? And I remember you sitting me down and going through our entire season program. And I think we swam 1.3 million meters to the point of trials last year. And that was the point where I was knew, like, I'm not losing this race. And I swam it, like you said, conservatively. And it's a shame because going into the summer, we were really prepared to break that top 50 mark. And I think if I let myself swim my 200 breast fresh rather than having, I think it was like 6 or 7 swims under my belt once I got into finals at 200 breast,
Yeah.
with like 5 hours of sleep at night. Not important though. That's games life. But I really think I could have put myself in a really good position to be with these guys, like some of these bigger guys that are stronger, but they produce more lactic acid. And I think where we should have been last summer would have really put me in a good spot going into Tokyo this year.
I agree. And I will echo one thing. I do remember in 2015, you're like, I want to win. I want to
Yeah,
win. I want to win.
I
I just
want
want
to
to
win.
race and I want to win.
Yeah,
In 2019, you're like, I just want to go fast. I want to
yeah,
feel fast. I just cannot, I want to race. I want to
yeah,
race. And that was the difference. Like whenever you just said, all I want to do is race. I want to race. And that was a thing that really hit me, is that you're racing for you, you're swimming for you.
yeah,
And if I can share, like after you didn't make the team in 2016, a lot of your emotions afterwards where you felt like, did I let my parents down? Did I let you down? Did I let my teammates down? Did I let everybody down because everyone supported me? And I remember us talking and said, you haven't let anybody down. We're all proud, right? But I think the reason I bring that up is I think a lot of athletes go through that feeling,
yeah.
right?
Almost every single one. And going back onto a similar statement, I was talking to one of my teammates on the bus last year in Peru. And I mentioned that you look around on the bus and almost everyone has had a form of mental illness. It runs through everyone. And you kind of saw the lights go on like, yeah, this happens to everyone. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's what happens in swimming. Swimming is such a hard and mean and just hard, unforgiving sport. And that's what happens.
I agree. Well, it's like I always say, what is the analogy I always say? Is like swimming is like being in a relationship. You can love it, love it, love it, and some days it just doesn't love you back, and those are the
Yeah.
hard days.
Yeah.
And you gotta work through, and that's what we always say. It's a grind,
Yeah.
right? Um, I always say swimming is a marathon at sprinter's pace,
Yeah.
right? Because you're always working and you're always going. But you're right. I think mental health is part of it because you're putting yourself in these positions where you're putting yourself out there,
Yeah.
and that's kind of my hope with like I want to talk to people. I want people to share their stories and like because if you knew at 18, 19, 20 how common it was to feel the things you were feeling that other athletes have gone through that, it would I think allow you to feel less I don't know, less angst or stress about how you're feeling like there's something wrong with me or I'm messed up or I'm not right.
I think you nailed it on the head with what's wrong with me. It's me. And once you realize that everyone has had this, it's not as big of a deal. But when you're so scared and alone, it's daunting.
It is, right? And you start to really go more and more inward. And that's why we've always tried to like I mean we're really fortunate. I think that I've got a good rapport with my athletes. I think we get along really well. I think I'm good at being supportive and understanding of those pieces. But
Agreed.
I think along the way you've had so many different teammates, but I think your teammates have also been extremely helpful with dealing with some of these things and going through the process with them. I mean, you've had a bunch of teammates that have represented Canadian senior teams, right? We've had Rob Hill, Tim Zhang, Raymond Domin. Like these are all guys that you've competed with, and then guys from other programs. We've had other guys in our team that have raced really high level nationally. So like you've gone through that process with a lot of them. So I know that that's been helpful as well to you, right?
100%.